Hi, I'm going to take you through the images that were taken for GIT 490 Advanced Commercial Photography. These are all my final images that were turned in. The first set of shots I did was the perspective shots. This first shot was taken right at the very beginning to get us warmed up to being in the studio, and while I shot a lot of photography during the break, it was nice to get in the studio, and it was nice to get kind of my feet back under me as far as shooting in the studio. One of the big problems I have with this photo, though, is that the bulb with the red tip on it, that's completely in focus. The camera, not so much. So as I worked through the photos for the rest of the semester, focus was going to be a big issue I needed to work on and make sure I kept everything that was relevant in focus. Okay, this second shot was the same set of items, just from a different perspective, hence the perspective shots. I shot it directly from above onto the same background. It was really difficult, actually, to get something not your head-on shot, so it took a few iterations, but I went through and I actually came out very pleased with this photo. I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. The second set of shots is the complex lighting shots. And this first shot happens to be my personal favorite. It is a champagne glass filled with apple cider. It was shot with a snoot directly above it with a Pringles can, connected that to focus the light even more. And the halo you see around the glass, or the bottom of the glass, was actually the light being reflected through the champagne to give it that nice halo look. The reflection was awesome. I even got the background with a secondary light just barely shining on the background, so I really like this one. The second complex lighting shot was inspired by one day I sat down and placed my water bottle on the ground and noticed that it gave a really good reflection. So I kind of played with that a little bit, tried to recreate that with a softbox way off to the side, shining in like morning sun, and I also had a rim light behind being blocked by a gobo to just give enough light for the rim and also that highlight light in the background. The next set of shots is food, or simple food, and splash. This particular shot, actually, I got an award of merit for from the Print Excellence Awards. It was a very fun shoot to do. I'd been looking forward to shooting food ever since I signed up for GIT 490, and then we went to the AZMP food workshop that they did, and I really got an idea of what I wanted to do. So this shot actually came together really quickly. It is a softbox off to the left with a light right in front to give some detail, and then actually Michael Bennett was on the right hand side with a mirror to light up just a little bit of the sushi. You can see some of the highlights on the front piece right there. All in all, excellent shot. The second shot was my splash shot. And while this is a good, well, it's a good photo, it's what I turned in, I got points for it, it just wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do at first was put in a teacup, and as I poured in, have the water splash around almost in a circle and catch that motion. The teacup that I had just couldn't do it. We tried a couple other cups, and it was Chad Westover who actually suggested using a wine goblet. And after several attempts, this ended up being the best image showing the agitation of the liquid, but I never really got the exact shot I wanted on this. Our next photo is an HDR photo. For those of you that don't know, HDR stands for High Dynamic Range, and I took 3 photos at Veterans Oasis Park just as the sun was setting, and just put those together, and actually I didn't put them together, Photoshop does that for you now, and came out with this shot, which I really I like a lot. There's the flowers, and in the actual shot you can just see them in the first shot, but otherwise you wouldn't be able to see them, and I think that was the highlight. Not only did I get that, but I actually caught the fisherman in some kind of detail, so pretty good all around. Okay, reflective surfaces is the next set of shots, and this one was a lot of fun. Now, I looked up reflective surfaces and how to shoot with mirrors online, and actually came up with a technique that put two mirrors at a 45-degree angle, and then you would put like a quarter table or something in the middle of those two mirrors, and you'd end up with like 5 different reflections, or 5 different images, 4 of them being reflection. And while it was a great idea, I did not know what I wanted to shoot, so I went through and brought a statue to class, and on the way into class I happened to stop to pick up something at the store and saw these Easter eggs, and just right away knew that that's what I wanted to shoot. So I set up the mirrors and put the Easter eggs in, and it turns out that the mirrors didn't end up being the highlight of the shot. It ends up that the Easter eggs just took all the glory, as you can see, and it's a lot of fun. Now, a quick fun fact about this is you can't actually see me in the reflection, and I accomplished that by draping myself in black velvet. You can see all the lights, you can even look around and see parts of the studio, but I'm pretty well hidden, which made me very happy in this shot. Okay, the final project. So for our final project, we had 2 parts, at least for photography, 2 parts. The first part was a self-portrait that we had to do by ourselves. This one I came in on a Friday morning and took by myself. You can actually see the remotes in my hands if you look closely. What I did was long exposure, so I did some light painting, just the swirls around me and then the kind of light mess right in front of me. And then I had a speed light with the Pringles can on it to focus the light, so it would look like all of the light was actually just coming from that light mess right in front of me. It turned out really well. I only did 1 or 2 shots with this. It just, with the proper amount of planning, turned out just exactly like you see it. This is my final shot, and one of my personal favorites. It was so much fun to do. Once again, if I could take any away from this class, is that planning makes all the difference. So I had been thinking about this shot for about 2 weeks, thinking of how I was going to get the paint to jump out of the cups. I actually had this complex rig in mind where I had ropes attached to the board and 2 people on either end, and they were going to pull real quick and get the paint to jump. And the more and more I thought about it, the more it would just be easy to have somebody stand in and then lift the cup and stop it short to get it come out. Now, when I first did this shot, we got paint right off the bat. Chad was actually behind the lens, hitting the shutter button, and it was great, except my facial expression, it was way too weird. So I went with even weirder and put on the goggles and just had fun with it. And this is the shot I ended up with.